Hi, my name's Sean Zinnerman. I work for Ladoni Constructions. This is just a quick overview and a demonstration of a typical E1 simplex unit in one of our current projects. Typically, we've installed over 4,000 units around New South Wales in various parts of New South Wales. We have a good working relationship with E1. We sort of specialise in putting in E1 units. Basically behind me is a map of Iluka, which is one of our current projects. As you can see, it's one of the largest unsewered towns left actually on the east coast of New South Wales, consisting of about 40 kilometres of street mains and 1,100 units. Basically this video will demonstrate how we install units, and you'll see the way we do things, as well as you'll see at the end of the film we'll demonstrate how we're commissioning and our procedures. Also up here we have a community shop front which I'm standing in at the moment. Basically we manage the public quite well through maintaining this shop front. It's easy for people to come and see. We've got display stuff available, and also we have a lady in the office 3 days a week making appointments and organising the streets and where we're heading with the boys in approvals to actually enter people's properties to carry out the work. So we will move on to the next spot.
So we're at number 15 Spencer Street, Iluka. This is a typical installation. We're drilling in a 40mm discharge line. As you can see, our boys are setting up the drill rig to do so. It's a lot easier, especially if you're in tight spaces or close proximity to fences and houses. Saves hand digging and trenching with an excavator. Also, you save on restoration. The ground is virtually untouched. There's a small entry hole and a small exit hole.
At the moment you can see they've just set up. They're basically what they call spudding in and drilling off. You'll see Gazza in front there with a locator, so you can actually steer the head of the unit all the way through the backyard. Also they take measurements every 3 metres from the rods, which basically becomes workers' X, part of the on property works as well. This is the backyard of number 15. The boys are currently drilling the sideline in, and the boys are now preparing the backyard for the pressure sewer unit installation, as well as the electrical installation and the plumbing works. As you can see, the boys are about to start. Our first process in this property installation is to do the electrical. Due to the proximity of where the unit is going beside the tree, we won't be able to get another machine in later to do it. So as you can see, we've got a small digger. You'll see that we'll have a series of different size machines doing different size tasks. Currently we have close to 20 excavators ranging from 1.5 tonne, from half a tonne up to 5 tonne on the project. boys will disconnect it now and they'll put a pulling head back and they'll pull the 40mm back all the way back to the front of the boundary box, and the boys will then hook that up. Also see they've set up tracer wire. We pull tracer wire back with the 40mm lines as well to make it easier later on for anyone tracing the line or locating a service.
As you can see now, the boys are got the back cutter on the drill rig and they're pulling the 40mm discharge line back through the borehole. This process is relatively quick, just a matter of pulling the length of pipe back the distance they drilled.
Also you'll see on top of there we've had special lifters designed and engineered for lifting the pressure sewer units around, because we have preformed their concrete bases. Hole's been dug, now the boys are currently lifting it into place. You notice they also have a hose, they backfill, they flood around it when they backfill. You also notice that we have a sucker truck beside the drill rig as well, so any excess fluid or anything that's hurt is sucked away and taken away, and also we have a gurney on it to keep the machine clean and clean up any footpaths that may get covered in mud. Boys will flood the sand back around it as they backfill it, and they get it up to a height where the penetration for the tank will be done. Benny the plumber is now in the process of doing the penetration into the tank, which is a 127 hole with a rubber grommet placed in it. So the maximum depth on these tanks, you can go down to the 5th rib. Now placing the rubber grommet in place. And that's the penetration into the tank completed. As part of this project, we only lay a maximum of 2 metres, so we do the penetration in the tank. The IO goes on and a piece of pipe out about 2 metres and left
for the plumber to come back later on and hook the system up. We're in the process now of Benny's installing the electrical cable, as you can see, through the conduit back up to the PCP on the wall, and Mark on this side is hooking the discharge line up that was brought in previously to the tank. So you can see we use fusion couplers all the way back to the tank with an 1.25" adapter into the tank. You can see how the Mark's marked the fittings, so we know when it's welded to make sure that they haven't moved. And Benny is now feeding the cable up the conduit up to the PCP. Now in the final stage of installation, back filling around the tank and flooding the material back in, also back from the electrical fence. Back to the front of the property at the moment. This is where the pipe was obviously bored in from. It'll be hooked up to the boundary box, which you can see, and also there's a flute inside that, so we will fusion cup that and weld it to the poly pipe, and then it becomes live back to the street main. As you can see, we've specially designed an all-terrain pump installer. Basically with the larger wheels, due to the sandy conditions, it makes it hard to get the pumps in, and so basically we fill the tank up to a flood level, so when we turn it on we can go to the ITB, and we do this a couple of times to ensure that the pump and the control panel are working as per manufacturer requirements. You can also see the discharge line is being hooked up from the pump to the PU, and you can also see the electrical connection. As I explained before, Mark is now in the final process of hooking the boundary kit up. As you can see, there's a flute and a couple of bends to bring it back up to the correct height for the flute as per the design. Once again, using fusion coupling bends, and Mark will mark them fittings as well to make sure that there's no movement during welding. Just started doing the electrical installation, so as you can see, he's put the mechanical protection on the conduit and braced it, and has just put the wire through the grommets and about to wire it up. Once he's finished that, we will make the system live and run through our checklist. As you can see, the wires are now all terminated in the control panel. You'll notice that there is a break from the panel to the conduit. That's to ensure that there's no gas coming back from the tank and can enter the switch, the PCP, to any corrosion. So that is highly important, and the method we use is endorsed by E1, and we will soon make the board live.
Alright, Chris is now about to make the panel live, so the flood alarm should go off because we've filled it up with water. As you can see, the siren goes off and the light on top is on.
Drop off now.
Our second check on the system is testing the pump against the closed head to make sure the control panel switches it off, which is in the process of building up the amps, and it has worked as well. Once we've completed that check, we open the boundary box and we flush the water into the main, and then we refill the tank to make sure that it stops and starts at the correct levels. Now the boundary box has been opened, the unit's turned back off and turned back on again. The alarm will go off once again. We'll silence the alarm and we'll monitor the amps as it pumps out. Obviously it'll take a few minutes as the tank is full. The tank was filled up as well as doing the alarm test, but also making sure there's no leakage on the penetrations into the tank. As you can see, the tank is full of water and probably take anywhere up to about 2 minutes to pump it down to the cutout level. As you can see on the control panel, we're using one of the latest control panels from E1. It gives you the amperage that the pump is pulling, so if it's running somewhere between 5 and 6, it's running within the manufacturer's requirements. Pump has now started again. As you can hear, there's only a small noise generated from the pump, which will cut out very shortly at the correct bottom water level. Once this process is finished, on this project in particular, we're not leaving the pump units in. We remove the core, put the lid on, and that completes our commissioning phase. Here's a sample of our ITPs. This is the one we use for our inspection and test plan for the actual pump unit itself, and then we have another one which the electricians use for their checklist as well. They both go together with a property plan and obviously become part of the Workers X program. Here's the finished product. Basically the pot is left like that. You can see we've left a pile of sand. We give the homeowners the option to keep the excess material. If they wish to keep it, they sign a release form. If they don't, we take all the spoil away. So we can see the control panel is done. And this is the boundary box at the front after being completed and hooked up. Well, this concludes our demonstration of a standard simplex unit in one of our current jobs. Before I leave you, I'd like to introduce you to Daniel, which is one of our project engineers, who recently was in America and had a visit of the E1 factory and a tour, so I'll let him say a few closing words.
Thanks, Sean. As Sean said, I've just recently been in America, overseas, just on a holiday. Happened to get a tour of the E1 factory, and I think it was quite interesting to see how it all comes together, the pumps and the control panels, the production line and how organised the company is, and also the people that work for E1, obviously, how willing they are to come on board and willing to take advice and sort of willing to learn and improve the product consistently. We've done quite a bit of work with them now over the years and developed a good relationship with them, and I think that shows what kind of people we are and what kind of people they are, and hopefully we can continue to do the same thing in the future and keep doing what we're doing, I guess. Yeah, thanks.